The poem Simile by N. Scott Momaday. What did we say to each other that now we are as the deer, who walk in single file, with heads high, with ears forward, with eyes watchful, with hooves always placed on firm ground, in whose limbs there is latent flight? Okay, obviously this is a pretty short poem, and from a figurative language standpoint, it is really an extended simile. Other than the first line, the rest of the poem, all 7 lines that come after, are really an explanation as to the simile between the person and between the people, and deer. You'll notice that there is, as you read it, a bit of a refrain with the repetition of the words "with," and so that idea of "with" kind of serves as a refrain throughout the entire poem. But the poem, a simile, uses deer walking in the woods, poised for flight, as a simile to describe a relationship. The two people seem to have undergone an event to bring about a change in their relationship, and you see this with the first line. What did we say to each other? So something must have been said prior to this walk that is taking place that has caused this change. The poem consists of mostly, a simile. There are 8 lines in the poem, as said, and 7 of the lines make up the simile. Only the first line says what is happening in actuality, but is an important clue as to the meaning of the poem. That first line reads, "What did we say to each other?" This immediately clues the reader into the fact that something important was said between two people, and this was probably something that has caused a significant change, one for the negative, with their relationship. The rest of the lines tell the reader that whatever was said has caused the conflict. The people the poem refers to are now, quote, "as the deer, whose limbs are full of latent flight." After what was said in the first line, the people are now flighty towards each other, perhaps frightened of what may come. And latent flight, with the term latent, really there is the idea of potential flight. So the ability is there, it's poised, it's almost like a spring, it's coiled, and it's ready to happen at any time. So should a look take place, should another statement be said or a word uttered, potential flight could happen where these two people who, like deer, are walking in single file as opposed to the way that we would expect two people to walk side by side. Should something be said, the potential for one to leave is certainly very high. The simplicity of this poem is very powerful, and the simile itself is artfully crafted. Just by likening the two people that had the conflict to deer, so much is said about what their relationship is now like. Again, as opposed to being side to side, shoulder to shoulder, now one is in front of the other, so there does not have to be eye contact or really any kind of conversation to take place. The image of deer walking through the woods, always watchful and ready to flee at the slightest signal, is powerful and does all the work for N. Scott Momaday in this poem. The idea that two people could leave, could split, could divide at any one time is certainly the main aspect of the simile that he is trying to reinforce. So it's a simple poem. It's certainly aptly titled in the sense of simile. It is figurative language. It is one large simile, but it is a nice poem in the sense that you have a direct statement, and then the rest is certainly there, an abstract simile for the reader to come to a conclusion as to what his overall purpose would be.